So in today's video, I'm going to be covering crucial tips for beginner players in Cold War multiplayer. Now, I was going into this video from the perspective of someone who has either never played Call of Duty before and this is their first game in the franchise that they're playing, or someone who's just not as experienced with the game and wants to learn how to improve. So some of these tips to a lot of you may seem obvious, but of course the title is for beginners, so if you want beginner tips, you should be watching this and that's what's going to help you. So remember, beginner tips and for people who don't have much experience in the game, and just keep that in mind. Before jumping into this thing, if we could smack 50 likes on this video, that'd be absolutely amazing. Subscribe with notifications on if you're brand new, because I'm going to be uploading a lot more Cold War content, class setups, news, all that type of stuff, updates whenever patches drop, all that, everything Cold War is going to be here on the channel and you won't want to miss it, so let's hop right into it. Now the first and most obvious thing within this whole video is going to be the FOV slider. Whether you're on next gen or PC, you will have the option to use the FOV slider. This is the first time it's been on console and you absolutely need to utilize this to your ability to have a better experience within the game and better multiplayer experience as well. So finding your FOV is very important. You need to find what you're comfortable with. That could be 100, that could be 110, 120. Personally, I rock 120 because it'll give you the best view of everything around you, and it is a huge difference going from like 80 or 60 FOV to 120. You get so much more view to things left and right, but beside you and everything like that, and it is very, very helpful. So definitely play around with that. Go into private matches or custom games, play around with bots and see what you feel is comfortable with you, and then you're good to go. Now the next thing I wanted to tick off my list pretty early on in the video is going to be something that's not only just important for beginner players, but players across the board, no matter what type of playstyle you have or what skill level you're at, because I'm sure you're all aware of jump shotting and drop shotting. They've been a big thing in Call of Duty for years and they're very popular within the Call of Duty community. Now, what we're going to be talking about with jump shotting specifically is going to be the way it's been nerfed within Cold War to decrease the skill gap, which is nothing surprising because we've been seeing that kind of implemented over the last few Call of Duties. So let's discuss how it's been nerfed and why it is decreasing the skill gap. So I'm going to put up a video here from Handler on Twitter, so all credit goes to him and everything. I thought I'd just show his video, a better way to showcase it. Now in this video you're going to see two comparisons. One's going to be on the ground just standing shooting normally, then the second one is going to be jump shotting while shooting, and the difference is huge. This nerf is very significant, very noticeable. Now I personally even noticed it as well, but I kind of just put that aside and shoved it off as, oh, I'm just not playing as well, I'm not used to the game and everything like that, because that can happen a lot of the time with new Call of Duties obviously, and I was wrong. It is quite literally a huge nerf to jump shotting and a decrease of the skill gap, so newer players that come into the game have less to deal with, even though I think people are going to be jump shotting quite a bit anyway. It still has been nerfed and it will affect your gameplay. Jump shotting isn't going to be the best thing for beginner players and new players anyway. You shouldn't be trying those type of advanced movements out anyway, even though they're not advanced. I'm just looking at it from a beginner's point of view and I'm sure that will be kind of advanced for them as well. So that's what I just wanted to bring up for anyone who watches the video, and beginner players as well, obviously, that jump shotting is just heavily nerfed within this game, and I wouldn't recommend doing it until you're really comfortable with the game and have a lot of experience playing it. So for this next tip, I'm going to be showcasing it in some custom games with bots, and we're going to be talking about centering. Now centering is basically keeping the little dot in your crosshairs in the middle of the screen rather than more down or more up. I have seen so many players, and I mean so many newer, more casual players walking around like this or walking around slightly up, and it absolutely looks terrible. It's so frustrating to see every time, but of course they're new and that's why I'm doing this video, to help people out. The reason this is helpful is because if you run around looking like this or a little bit more down, every time you see a player you're always going to have to snap onto them more. Like you're going to have to aim over to them more, rather than just keeping it in the center of the screen and just naturally being able to kill them like that, just onto them like that. It's so much more efficient, so much better. You're going to get a lot more kills by doing this, and it's very, very helpful, rather than walking like this and having to look up, or if you're looking up having to look down. It's just simple. You just keep it in the center of your screen and you're able to snap onto players a lot easier. I've got bots here. Where are they? Come over here. Much easier, it's just so much easier. I don't even know how else to explain it. You just keep your crosshair in the middle of the screen. What's also helpful with this is to kind of keep your crosshairs in certain parts where enemies may be. So if you're walking around the corner, keep it on the stairs, not just like doing it like that. So like walking around the corner and kind of, it's like pre-aiming with your crosshair, I guess you could say, knowing that someone might be there. Boom. Perfectly. So say that window, someone's going to be there. You've got an assault rifle, you can beam them, or you've got an MP5, it's an assault rifle too. You get ready to look there instead of just, oh shit, someone's there, and then you look at them. You already have it ready to go. You know what I mean? Boom. So that's basically the idea of just centering, keeping your crosshair or that little dot in the middle of your screen and kind of pre-aiming it for places where you know people may be. Now this next tip is going to have to do with custom games as well, and we're going to be talking about the horizontal, vertical and ADS sensitivities. These are very important to find out what works for you and what is comfortable, as these play a pretty big role within your gameplay, so let's talk about that. Now what I see most players rock is anywhere from a 4 to possibly an 8 or a 9, and that is really the medium of what most people have. Now I don't recommend trying to, you know, have a flex with your sensitivity. Oh, I play on 14, oh, I play on 2. Make sure you just find what is comfortable for you, because I do think that there are people out there who kind of like try and have a higher sensitivity or a lower sensitivity to stand out or something like that. That's really weird. Don't do that, okay? Don't be like that. I've seen that before. What you'll need to do to find a comfortable sensitivity pretty quickly and quite easily is going to be going into custom games, cranking it all the way to 14, chucking on about 5 or 10 bots, however much you want, and then just taking it down one each time you've had about 5 or 10 kills. That is a good medium and a good amount for me personally when I want to try and find my sensitivity. I've got it at 6 right now and that's what I'm comfortable with, but about 5 or 10 bots would help you out a lot, and then just keep taking it down one once you've got those kills to find your sweet spot for the sensitivity. Now for the low zoom and high zoom sensitivities, this is basically for when you're aiming down sights and how sensitive your aiming is when you've actually got your sights down, rather than when you're walking around and moving with your horizontal and vertical. So what is important to note about this is that if you're going to be taking a lot more long range gunfights, you'll want to kind of keep this a little bit lower, maybe on the 0.9 side. 1 is good to have it on, it's a good medium for me personally, but if you're running a higher sensitivity like an 8 or a 9, you'd want to consider cranking that down to an 0.8 or a 0.9. So this is basically how sensitive your movement is when you have the ADS down, and that is very good to practice as well, because what you can do with this basically is you can crank it up all the way to 14 and then put the ADS sense on maybe a 0.7 or a 0.6, I would say, and that'll basically make it feel like your ADS sense is as if you were playing on a 6 rather than a 14, but you still get that movement with the horizontal and vertical of a 14. You're able to snap onto people, everything like that, if that explains it enough. That's what you're going to want to do. It's all based within custom games, as I've been mentioning, going into custom games, adding bots, getting 5 or 10 kills, and just figuring out that sweet spot and what works for you. Because at the end of the day, I wouldn't recommend copying other people's settings with sensitivity, you know, ADS, high zoom and low zoom. And then the last thing that I want to run by with you guys within this tips video for beginners is going to be warming up in custom games before you play. Now the gameplay that you're seeing on screen was actually my very first game on that I've played of the day, and before that I had 2 matches practicing with bots. I had free for all up to 30 and I just played them out to, you know, to the max score and just warmed up. It gets your aim going, gets your movement, gets you, you know, warmed into the game, and I honestly am always happy with like how I am after warming up and playing my first couple games. It's always good to feel warmed up before you're playing instead of going in cold without any of it, because then you're just most likely going to get shredded, honestly. Like I struggle to play well on my first couple games, so those warm-ups allow me to break past that and just, you know, do well on my first couple games. That's a little tip I wanted to pass by. So that's going to wrap it up for this tips and tricks video for beginners in Cold War multiplayer. If you guys want to see more videos from me, don't forget to hit that sub button, as well as turning on the bell and enabling all notifications so you know exactly when I upload. Don't forget to leave your suggestions for other Cold War videos in the comment section below. I'd love to see what you guys want to see more of on the channel, and I'll be sure to check them out as well. So thank you all so much for watching. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day or night, whatever it may be, and I'll see you all in the next video.